In this section, we'll talk about some of the advanced charting features in Excel 2010. We'll begin by talking about trend lines, which graphically display trends in data. We'll then talk about chart templates, which saves customizations in order to apply those to other charts. We'll also talk about sparklines, which is a chart within a single cell. And finally, we'll talk about creating dual axes charts, which combine two charts into one. Trend lines are used to graphically display trends in data. It is a data analysis tool used in regression analysis. It predicts the future of data points over time. To create a trend line, you first have a chart that you want to apply the trend line to. In our case, we have Burlington profits, and we're going to create a chart for the food and beverage sales for the first, second, third, and fourth quarters of last year. We'll select the data we want to create the chart for, and hit the F11 function key on the keyboard to create a chart on its own sheet. You can clean up the chart and get rid of anything that you don't need, such as the legend on the right-hand side. Our title tells us what this chart is. To create a trend line to predict the future profits based on these past profit numbers, we'll right-click on one of the columns and choose Add Trend Line. The default trend line is a straight line linear regression type. We can change that trend line according to the data that we have, and also change more options in this dialog box. The exponential regression type is a curved line used for data that increases or decreases at higher rates. The logarithmic regression type is used for data that fluctuates quickly and then levels out. This can be used for positive and negative values. The polynomial regression type is a line that's curved and used again when data fluctuates. The power regression type is a line that is curved for data that increases at a specific rate. And the moving average smooths fluctuations in data that change at higher and lower rates. We're going to choose linear for our chart. We could give it a name, and we can forecast, which we would want to do either forward and or backwards. We will forecast forward 4 periods, meaning the 4 quarters in the future. We can also display the equation on the chart that created the trend line and display the R squared value on the chart as well, and then close. If you wish to change an existing trend line, you can double-click on the trend line to get back into the trend line options. And again, choose whichever regression type you wish, according to the data that you have. And that is how you create a trend line on a chart in Excel 2010. The next charting feature we'll discuss is how to create a chart template. If you've created a chart and you've customized that chart and wish to save that customization to use for other charts, you can save that chart as a template. We have a chart that we've created that we've customized for our food and beverage sales for Burlington sales. We'd like to use that same format for the food and beverage sales on another sheet for our Winooski profits. So on the Burlington sheet, we'll select the chart that we want to save as a chart template. And on the Design Contextual tab, towards the left, you'll see Save as Template. You can click on Save as Template. It will automatically point to the template folder, to the chart subfolder, and you can give this chart a name. It will be saved as a chart template when you click on Save. Now this chart template can be used on any other chart in any Excel file. I'm going to go down to the Winooski sheet, select what I want to create the chart from, Go to the Insert tab, and in the Chart group, choose Other Charts and All Chart Types at the bottom. In the Insert Chart dialog box on the left-hand side, you'll see a template folder. When you click on it, you'll see any templates you have created. If you point to the template, it will tell you the name of that template. And if you double-click on it, it will create a chart using the data you have selected, but using the same format that we saved with the chart template. If you need to delete a chart template, you go to the Insert tab, back to Other Charts, and back to All Chart Types. In the lower left-hand corner, choose Manage Templates. It will automatically open the folder that has all your chart templates. You would choose the template you want to delete and delete it. And then you would close that window. By deleting the template, it will not affect any charts that are already using that template, but you will not be able to use that template in any future charts. And that's how you create a chart template in Excel. Sparklines is a new feature in Excel 2010. Like a regular chart, it's a graphical representation of a data range. Unlike a regular chart, it fits into a single cell. There are 3 types of sparklines: line, column, and win-loss. To create a sparkline, click into the cell you want to put the sparkline. Although a sparkline can go into any cell, it's useful to have it next to the data that you're creating the sparkline from. On the Insert tab, on the right-hand side, you'll see sparklines, and we'll start with the line sparkline. We're going to select the data that we want to create the sparkline for, and the location you want to put the sparkline. We'll just click on OK to put it into the cell we were in. And you'll get a sparkline. You'll have sparkline tools at the top with a Design Contextual tab. You can copy the sparkline to other cells by using the autofill. You can also enlarge the column width and also enlarge the row height to make your sparkline larger. If you want to change your sparklines, you can go up to your Design Contextual tab. You have the option to edit the data range or choose a different type. We'll keep the data range the way they are and choose column. Whereas line shows trends in data over time, column compares values. The win-loss type shows whether a value is positive or negative. This can also be used if you change colors. So the high points will be one color and the low points may be another color. We'll go back to the line type and move over to the show group. If we want to identify the high point of our data, we can click on High Point, and it will have a marker for that high point in those charts. You can also identify low point, negative points, first point, last point, and markers for each of the values. You have a Style group that will allow you to change the style or color of your sparklines. You can also change the sparkline color to choose a specific color. The marker color will let you identify what the high point color is, the low point, negative points, first and last points. So if you want the high point to stand out, you might identify that with one color, and your marker color for the low point might be a different color. This will also show up with the other types of sparklines, such as your column will identify the high and low point, and the win-loss. We'll go back to line and talk about the last group. The group will allow you to change your axis options. This is used to customize the horizontal axis and the vertical axis. If you have a date, you might want to specify that as an axis type. You can also plot your data from right to left, or set it back to left to right. For the vertical axis, you might want to have the vertical axis to be a minimum for the same for all sparklines, or have it done automatically for each. And this works for the maximum value option as well. For each of those, you could also set a custom value. So your minimum value is set to one value, and perhaps your maximum value set to another. A sparkline is embedded in the background of a cell. What this means is you can click into a cell that has a sparkline, and you can type in information. That will get placed into the cell, but it will not affect your sparkline. If you want to delete the data that you put into a cell, you select the cell and press delete. This will not delete the sparkline. In order to clear a sparkline, you need to select it, and on the Design Contextual tab, over to the right, you can click on the Clear, and it will clear it out of that cell. If you wish to clear multiple sparklines, select them and clear them all at the same time. And that's how you create sparklines in Excel 2010. The next chart feature we'll discuss is how to create a dual axes chart, also known as a combination chart. A dual axes chart is used when you're trying to chart two different types of data. For instance, we have our Burlington sales that has our different items that we sell, the actual sales amount, the projected sales amount, and then the number of salespeople for each of those items. We're going to create a chart that uses all three of the data series, actual, projected, and number of salespeople. We'll select the data we want to create the chart from and hit the F11 function key to create a chart on its own sheet. When you do this, it creates a two-dimensional column chart. We're going to keep it as a two-dimensional column chart for our actual and projected, yet the number of salespeople will change to a line chart. Dual axes charts can only be created on a two-dimensional chart type. In order to create another axis for our number of salespeople, we need to go into the Format Data Series for the number of salespeople. So you're going to find the data series, or one of the points of the number of salespeople, and right-click on it to format the data series. We're going to plot this series on a secondary axis, and then click on Close. With that data series still selected, we're going to change that to a line chart type. So, change chart type, we'll choose line, and we'll do one with markers, and OK. On the left-hand side of our chart now, we'll have the value axis for our two-dimensional column chart for the actual and projected, and on the right-hand side of the chart, we'll see the value axis for our line chart, which is the number of salespeople. And that's how to create a dual axis chart in Excel.